Okay, so you've all heard the term work smarter, not harder. And nothing could be more true than in our business, the practice of law. Most of you are going to be extremely busy. You're going to have a large caseload. You're going to have a lot of things happening. You're going to have work that you're currently working on. You're going to have new work that comes in during the day. You're going to be juggling a lot of balls at once. And I have a couple of thoughts that I think would help you in trying to make sure that you do that efficiently and that you're maximizing the time that you're spending on your cases. The first thing I would tell you is right now, in the beginning of your career, develop systems. Develop systems to manage your time. Whether you're using a software program or whether you're just constructing something yourself, take the time to not only develop that system, but make it a habit. And then what's going to happen is through the course of your career, you're just going to use these systems. You're not even going to know that you're going to be doing it, but it's going to make your practice so much more efficient. For example, we've talked about this before, a diary system. You know, we have court dates. We have documents that have to be filed by a certain time. And if we miss those, depending on the practice, depending on what court you're practicing in, the ramifications of missing a deadline can be extremely harsh. For example, statute of limitations. I mean, case is gone. If you miss that, that's malpractice. So whatever the system is that you use, what the idea behind it is you're entering the event or whatever into the system, and it is providing you with some kind of notice. The brief is due in 2 weeks. The statute's about to run next month. The court appearance is at this date. And that you have a dual system, one for yourself, one for your assistant. It's kind of a backup. If you set that up and you just use it religiously, you don't even think about it, I can tell you're going to avoid so many problems. And once you begin to use it, as I said before, you won't even be thinking about it. Case management. You're going to have all these files on your desk. You have to have some system to organize them. You only have so much time during the day. You're not going to get it all done in the same day. So you have old work, you have current work, you have new work. You have to categorize that somehow and every day move through your system to make sure that they're all moving. You're not just working on new work. You're not just working on an old project. Now, once in a while that does happen. You have a brief and it got pushed, and now it's due. You shut the door, you told your secretary, your paralegal, nobody comes in this room, this is all I'm working on today. That's a little bit different. You don't want that to happen, and if you have the right systems, that's not going to happen. But otherwise, you should be doing something on the cases that are coming in that day. You should be doing something on the current work, and maybe there's a project, a large project, that is going to take a lot of time that you're working on kind of piecemeal. That's a system that I use. Let's say you have something that if I sat down and I did this like nonstop, it would take me 3 or 4 days to get through it. Well, you really can't take 3 or 4 days out of your time to work on one project. So that's in a different category for me. I work a little bit on that every single day. And by the time you get up to the point where it's getting to be time that it's due, all of this has been done over a period of time. That's a good practice as well. Number 2, you have to get organized, and you have to stay organized. Once you start to get behind, once there's files on your desk that haven't been addressed, and there's kind of a haphazard approach to it, you are just asking for a malpractice claim. You can't do that. There's too much that has to be done at once. The other thing I would strongly advise you is that in the beginning of the day, before you just jump into work, that you sit down. I kind of use piles. I have piles, current, back work, future work, all piled in different categories. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes in the morning. Go through every single thing. Now you think, well, why would I have to go through everything at once? It keeps in your mind what's out there. What do I have to on my plate here? I think that's a good practice. The other thing I would advise you is to develop really good relations with everybody, but especially the bar, especially other attorneys. You're going to find that if you're the type of attorney who's trying to make your colleague's job easier, even your adversary. And we've talked about this before, without sacrificing the interest of your client, you're going to find that's reciprocal. And that there's kind of a camaraderie here, that you're making my job easier and I'm making your job easier. It kind of comes back to you. There's an example, this actually happened today in our office, where an attorney had called and said, I really need an adjournment, for whatever reason it was. And we could have said, look, if you want an adjournment, you can contact the court and you let us know. You can tell the court that we've consented. Well, we did, however, without even responding to them at first, we had someone go ahead and adjourn the motion. And then there was an email back to him, sure, done. He really appreciated that. Next time when I need a favor, that's going to be returned to me. It's a good practice. And the last thing I would say, never, ever, ever procrastinate. That's a real temptation in our business. You look at your desk, you got all these files, and you look at this one file, you have to deal with it, there's a deadline coming up, and you keep saying, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. No, you won't, okay? You'll wait to the last minute, and then everything is chaos, and you're rushing to get it done. Don't ever do that. That's why going through all your files at the beginning of the day is a good idea. Don't put things off. It's a real temptation, especially if you're very busy. So those are some of the thoughts I have about working in your law office smarter, not just harder.